If you want to learn how to make this egg system for your Roblox games where you can hatch an egg and get a pet, then you're going to want to watch all the way through because I'm going to show you how to do it. This video is the first part in my 3-part pet system series where I'm going to show you first how to make eggs, then how to make a pet inventory system, and then finally I'll show you how to make the pets follow you smoothly like this. So if you're looking forward to the rest of the episodes, drop a like. It lets me know to keep doing the series. If you'd like, you can purchase the finished pet system with all 3 parts for only $10 down on my website. I'll leave it linked down in the description. If you do purchase it, make sure you check all these locations and move everything in these different locations into your game. That'll make sure that the system works properly. But if you don't want to buy the file, that's totally fine. I'm going to show you right now how to make it from scratch. Okay, the first step is to go down to the description and get this kit. I've prepared a kit for you guys to make things a lot easier that's going to contain everything we need to get started. You're going to go ahead and click this button that'll say download or get or whatever the button says, and then once it says try in studio, you're good to go. Once you have the kit, go ahead and open up your Roblox game and click the toolbox button. Next, click that little library icon. That'll show all the models you own, and then there will be this pet system right here. Go ahead and click it, and it'll insert it into your game. Also, just go ahead and click OK. Most of these scripts are empty. We're going to be working with them. Alright, so here is the kit. It has a few different pets. These are all cats, and it'll have the eggs and everything else that we should need to get started. So the first thing to do is click that ungroup model right there, and go ahead and click Control U. That'll ungroup the kit in the workspace, and if it's not working for you, you can always right click and click Ungroup. Now everything is ungrouped, and we're going to put them in their correct spots. This is just a matter of following what the models say. So this one right here says ungroup in lighting, so we're going to take that and drag it down into lighting, and click Control U to ungroup it. Next, let's do the same with replicated storage. Click Control U. You'll notice we have a remotes folder right here, as well as a pets folder. So this pets is going to hold all of our pet models, and the remotes are going to hold all our remote functions and events. Next, go ahead and ungroup the server script service model inside of server script service. And then go ahead and do the same with starter character scripts, which is inside starter player if you can't find it. It's right here. And go ahead and click Control U to ungroup it. Ungroup in starter GUI right here. And last but not least, ungroup in the workspace. Alright, we are all set to go. You can close out of the toolbox. Make sure you've saved your game if you haven't already. And let's get started with the system. So today we're going to be doing the egg system. So if you want to move your eggs somewhere else, you can do so. Just go ahead and drag over the eggs, and you can bring them a little closer. Something like that ought to be perfect. Great. Now, for the starter kit, I have included 3 different cats, and if you want to take them out of the replicated storage pets folder and put them into the workspace so you can see them, you can do so. These are the cats we're going to be working with, and we are going to put them inside of the cat egg. So go ahead and put these back into that pets folder in replicated storage, and let's go ahead and set up the cat egg. So, go ahead and open up the eggs folder in the workspace, and that contains all your eggs. It's super important that all the eggs you're going to be working with are contained in this folder. Next, go ahead and open up the cat egg, and inside there you'll notice a proximity prompt, as well as a pets module. Perfect, so inside of here is where we're going to tell the scripts what different pets we offer in this egg. So, let's go ahead and do that. Inside of the cat's egg pets module, there's going to be this empty table that says module.pets. What you're going to do is we are going to go ahead and add some more tables. So the order we're going to do this in is the pet name followed by the rarity. So for this case, we're going to do cat, 40. And what that means is we are saying the cat has a 1 in 40 chance of being selected. Okay, now outside of these curly brackets, this is how you do a table, by the way, is you write curly brackets, and that's just a way to group data together, such as the string, the name of our pet, and the rarity. So outside of that curly bracket, go ahead and add a comma, because that's how we separate between different items. That'll allow us to add different pets to this table. So let's add the next one. The next one is going to be the white cat with quotation marks, and outside of that, add a comma and write 75. And outside of the table, add another comma. What does this mean? Well, that means the white cat is going to be a 41 to 70 chance of being selected. Now, why 41? Well, that's because our last one is 40, so it's going to be between 40 and 75. So 41 to 75 If a number like that is selected, then they're giving the white cat. And finally, we can add one more table here. So more squiggly brackets with quotation marks, dark gray cat, comma outside of there, and this will be 100. So this means the dark gray cat will be selected if they get a number between 76 and 100. So that's how that works. I hope that makes sense to you. And if just double check, make sure that everything here looks exactly the same in your script, and you should be good to go. But it is very, very important that you make sure everything is exactly the same in code. Every little comma, every little quotation mark, every little capital letter, it all matters. So once you're done, you can close out of that module script, and that should be it for that module. The next thing we can go ahead and do is create some leader stats, and this is going to be the coins up in the top right corner that'll show players how much they have. So this is going to be a pretty basic data saving leader stat system, and yes, we are going to be doing data saving because I do want this to be a good system for you guys. So if you already have leader stats, you can skip this. If not, then go ahead and watch this part. Okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself. The first thing we want to do is reference the data store service. So we can say local DSS equals game get service data store service, just like that. So now whenever we say DSS, it knows we're talking about the data store service. And if you don't know what that is, that's basically just Roblox's way of saving player data. Now we have to actually get a data store in the data store service. So we can say local DS, which stands for data store, equals to data store service get data store, and then quotation marks and, well, parentheses and quotation marks, and inside of here we have to give our data store a name. And let's just call this one Leaderstats. So what does this mean? This is basically saying that we are going to get a brand new data store or get the data store called Leaderstats. So that way we can save the player's data to this data store called Leaderstats, and then Roblox will take care of saving and getting that data as long as we write it correctly. Okay, so now let's detect when a player joins the game. We can say game.players.playerAdded, connect function, and then make sure you have all these parentheses and include player within these parentheses, end parenthesis. Okay, this is just saying every time a player joins the game, we want to do something. In this case, we're going to make the leader stats. So we'll say local folder equals instance.new folder. So this creates a brand new folder, and then we can say folder.name equals to, with quotation marks, leader stats, folder.parent equals to player. So now we've created a brand new folder called leader stats and put it inside of the player. Next we can say local coins equals to instance.new int value, so that'll track the amount of coins that the players have. We can say coins.name equals to coins. We want to set the name of it to coins. And finally, coins.parent equals to folder. So it's going to put this new coins value inside of the leader stats folder. Next, let's just go ahead and store some data. So we can say local data, or we don't even need to set it yet. So just say local data. This creates a brand new variable for our data. Then we can say local success, which stands for error, equals pcall function. This is creating a brand new pcall. Basically what that does is it basically just runs a function, and if Roblox for some reason is down and we can't get the data, it won't break our entire script. That's why we want to wrap it in a pcall, so that way we don't break our game because Roblox is down or something like that. So next we can say data equals ds get async player.userid. This is going to set the data variable to whatever the player's data is, and then let's just assume maybe they don't have any data, so we can say if not data, then data equals to 0, just like this. Alright, perfect. So we have now created a brand new table for the data if they don't have any data, and if they do, then it's just going to load the data. Next, we can say coins.value equals to data1. So it's just going to get the first index in the data table, which in this case is the coins. Okay, perfect. So we have now gotten the data every time a player joins, but we do still need to save it. And the way we can do that is by saying game.players.playerRemoving connect function with a player. Every time the player leaves, we're going to run this function now. And we'll just say local coins equals player find first child leader stats find first child coins, and then we can just drop a couple lines and say ds set async player.userid, and then we can create a new table with the coins.value. So what is this doing? This is saying whenever a player leaves the game, we're going to get the coins that they have, and that's this new variable, and then we're just going to set async, which just means save data, to the player's user ID. That's why we said get async with the player user ID up here. That's just saying that's the key that we're saving it to. So we're going to save it to their player's user ID, which is a unique ID for every player, and we're just going to save the amount of coins that they have. That way up here, when they join the game, we can get the data that's been saved. So every time they leave, it'll save the data, and every time they join, it'll get the data. Now, if you want to test this out, go ahead and close out of your script and click Game Settings up here, and then go down to Security and click Enable Studio Access to IP Services. Make sure that's checked and click Save. That will allow for your game to access data stores. Next, you can hit play, and you can see we have coins up in the top right corner. If I go ahead and open up my player by going into the players, and my player, actually I should switch to the server. So if you want to test this, go ahead and click this current client button and you'll switch to the server. Next, go ahead and open up your player. So open up players, find your player, open it up, open up the leader stats, and click on coins, and then you can just change this value down here to whatever you want. I'm going to set it to a super high number like that, and I can switch back to the client, and now you can see I have 124 million coins. If I click stop, it's saving the data right now as I'm leaving. And I can go ahead and click play again, and as you can see, I have 124 million coins. Perfect, so now we have leader stats so that we can track the coins and have the eggs cost coins. Okay, but we do need a way to store the player's pets, and the way we're going to do that is by creating folders within the player that will store the pets that they own. So let's go ahead and create that function next. So inside of server script service, in your pet server script, go ahead and open that up, and you'll find a module script called pet modules. Double click that. Now, let's go ahead and first go ahead and reference the data store service like we did earlier. We can say local DSS equals game :get service data store service. Next, we need a new data store. We can't use the leader stats one because we're saving leader stats to that data store. We need a new one for the pets. So we can say local ds equals DSS :get data store pets. So now we have a new data store for saving the pet data. Now let's just create a couple functions for when the player is added to the game and when the player is removed from the game. So we're going to go ahead and say module.addPlayer equals to function, and then add player in there, and if you want you can add a colon with the player right here. That way it'll know we're talking about a player whenever we reference it. So this is just creating a brand new function inside of the module script. If you've never worked with module scripts before, it may be a bit confusing. Basically it just allows us to be able to call these functions within this big server script right here. It's a way of making things a little more organized because we can just call the same functions from different scripts, and it just, I don't know, it feels nice to work with module scripts. So the next thing we want to do is insert a folder for the player's pets. So the way we can do that is say local plr folder, which is going to stand for player folder, equals instance.new folder. And then we can say plr folder.name equals to, with quotation marks, owned pets. So this is where we will keep track of all their owned pets. And then we can just say player folder.parent equals to player. So we created a new folder for their owned pets. We're going to do this also for their equipped pets, so go ahead and copy all of this by dragging over it, drop a couple of lines and paste it, and then let's just make sure that all these say player folder 2, because we're creating a second folder. Next, we can just change this to say equipped pets, and that's all. Now we've created two folders, one owned pets and one equipped pets, and they're both added to the player. Next, let's get the data. So we can say local data equals, or actually we don't even need to set it anymore. We can say local success, comma, equals pcall function. This should look familiar. This is the same thing we did earlier. Data equals to ds get async player.userid. So this is just, once again, wrapping it in a pcall and setting this data variable equal to whatever we got. And then we can just say data, or if not data, then, and then here what we're going to do is we're going to create a table with two values. And they're each, it's basically a dictionary, and if you don't know what that is, that's just a table with different values and for the indexes. So for example, we could have this new table here. And instead of the default way we create tables by listing them off, true, false, a string, right? We can set our own indexes, like so, using quotation marks, and we could just say fruit equals to apple. And then we could say, I don't know, YouTube channel equals to the Dev Hero. And then what we can do to access those is just say my table fruit, and it'll print apple. Okay, so that was just an example, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this because we don't need it. So the way we're going to do this is by creating a dictionary for our pet system. So what we can say is if not data, well, here's the default data. Data equals to a big table where we're going to have our owned pets equal an empty table. And then we can add a comma over there, and we can do square brackets again. Equipped pets equals to empty table. Okay, so make sure that your script looks exactly like this because this is going to be really important. And actually, just in case there's a problem here, I'm going to move this outside of the pcall. So go ahead and copy all that and paste it outside of the pcall. Alright, perfect. So now we've got our data, and we've got our data if they have data. If they have data saved, then we've retrieved that data, and if not, we've set this default data. Alright, so next thing to do is, if you would like, you could say if then warn so this will just let you know if there was an error in getting the data, then it'll let you know as the developer. Probably that means that Roblox's servers are down, but there are other reasons that errors can occur. Next, you can say for I, v in pairs, data, owned pets, do. So this is saying we're going to loop through all of the player's owned pets, and then we're going to create a tag for that and put it inside of the owned pets folder. So we can say local tag equals instance.new. I'm using int values. It really doesn't matter what it is, but int values seem to be a good way to store data like this. And we can just say tag.name equals to v, tag.parent equals to plr folder. So for every owned pet that the player has, we're creating a new tag, and that is just going to store the pet's name. And then in here, we're just parenting it to the plr folder, which, remember, that's the folder called owned pets. Now we're going to do this one more time for the equipped pets, so go ahead and copy all that and paste it below. And you can just say equipped pets right here. So now we're going to loop through all the equipped pets, and we can parent it instead of the plr folder, the first plr folder, we're going to parent it to plr folder 2. Those are the only differences. Okay, so now we have the function for when a player joins, but let's go ahead and script when a player leaves, because that's equally important. So outside of that function, go ahead and say module.removePlayer equals function with a player argument. So we're creating a brand new function for when the players are leaving the game. Next, let's just say local data, and we're going to create an empty table. Local owned, another empty table, and finally local equipped equals another empty table. So now we just have all three of these tables that we're going to fill in. So we can say for I, v in pairs, player.ownedPets, get children, do. So we're going to loop through all of the items inside of the owned pets folder of the player who is leaving, and we can say table.insert owned, v.name. So for every player, or every pet they own, we're adding that to this owned table. Now, let's go ahead and copy this for loop and paste it below. And here, let's just change that to say equipped pets. And right here, instead of owned, change that to say equipped. So this, we're looping through all the equipped pets and adding it to the equipped table. Finally, let's go ahead and say data with square brackets, owned pets equals to owned. So we're basically just saying we're going to add this dictionary index, the owned pets, to our data table, and we're setting it equal to their owned pets. So basically that's just saying put the owned pets inside of this data table. And then we can do the same thing for the equipped pets. So data, square brackets, equipped pets equals to equipped. Finally, just say ds set async, and we can do the player user ID. Again, we're saving it to their player.user ID, and then we're going to save that data table. Alright, finally, in our pets server script, so inside of server script service, open the pets server script, And what we're going to do here is we're first going to get that module script. So we can say local pets module equals require script.pet modules. And then we can just say game.players.playerAdded connect pets module.add player. And then game.players.playerRemoving connect pets module.remove player. So this is just saying whenever a player joins the game, we want to call that add player function we made, and when a player removes or when a player leaves the game, we're going to call the remove function. So we can actually test this out now. If we go ahead and hit play, we should be able to open up our player and we should see this owned pets and equipped pets. So let's go ahead and make sure that our data saving is working. Let's open up the players and our player, and then find the owned pets folder. Then click the plus icon and insert an int value. And let's just go ahead and name it cats and duplicate it a bunch of times. So this is just saying they own all these cats because we put that value inside of the folder a bunch of times. And then let's just drag one of the cats up into the equipped pets. So that way we can make sure it's working. If you open the equipped pets folder, we have a cat there. And if we open the owned pets, we have a bunch of cats here. So let's go ahead and click stop. It should save the data. If we click play and open up our folder, alright, there we go, our equipped pets, we have 1 cat equipped and 4 cats owned. Perfect, so that is working. Let's go ahead and do the egg script so that we can actually see the hatching animation and all that being done. This is probably going to take a little bit of time, but just buckle up and get ready because this is the fun part. We're actually going to make the egg show up on the screen now. Alright, so go ahead and scroll down to Started GUI and this Egg UI Screens UI that I've made for you guys, and open the local script inside of it. Now, you'll notice that inside of the Screens GUI is an Egg VPF and a Pet VPF. These are viewport frames, which basically means we can put a model inside of them and show it on the screen. That's what we're going to do to show the egg as well as the pet. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is reference tween service, because we're going to use that. So you can say local ts equals game get service tween service. Now ts basically just means the tween service, which is this right here, and the tween service is used to smoothly transition values. So we're going to do that to smoothly make the egg come on the screen and size up and all that stuff. Now let's reference our egg viewport frame. So we can say local egg VPF equals script.parent wait for child egg VPF. Next, we want to save the correct size, so we can say local egg pose for position equals egg VPF.position, and the size local egg size equals to egg VPF.size. And I think I said that backwards. We want to save the egg position and the egg size. Next, let's get the pet viewport frame. Local pet VPF equals script.parent wait for child pet VPF. And finally, local pet size, we want to get the size of it equals petvpf.size. Alright, so this is going to be used later with our tweening. Finally, we're going to create a camera for both of the viewport frames. So we can say local camera equals instance.newCamera. And then we can just say eggvpf.currentCamera equals to the camera. And petvpf.currentCamera equals to the camera. So we're creating this brand new camera for the viewport frame. That's how viewport frames work. You create a camera and then you put models in it, and whatever is in view of the camera is going to be shown in the viewport frame. Alright, so let's create a function to load up the egg. We can say function load egg part. So this is a function where we're going to pass in the egg, which is going to be a part, and that's just going to be whichever egg we pass through here. And what we can do is we can first of all clear out anything inside of the egg viewport frame. So we can say egg VPF clear all children, just in case there are any remaining eggs in there. And then we can just say egg equals to egg clone. So we want to make a copy of the current egg so that we don't destroy the original one. Egg.parent equals to egg VPF, so put the egg inside of the viewport frame. And finally, egg pivot to. This is a little bit of confusing math, but I'll explain it in a minute. Just chug along. And then you're going to put pivot to with parentheses cframe.new, open and close parentheses, camera.cframe.position plus camera.cframe.lookvector times 7. What is this doing? Well, this is basically saying we're going to position the egg so that it is at the same position as the camera, but we're going to push it forward a little bit in the direction that the camera is looking. That way you can see the full egg in view. Hopefully that made sense. Now we're going to do a similar function for loading the pet. So we can say function load pet with a pet. This time we're going to just pass through a string because this is going to be the name of the pet. So we can just say local pet equals game.replicated storage dot pet colon find first child pet. Alright. Next we can say if pet, then pet equals pet colon clone, pet.parent equals to pet VPF, and finally pet colon pivot2. We're going to do a lot of the similar things that we had up here. So in fact, what we can do is we can just copy this line right here. So go ahead and copy that entire line and replace this one here. And instead of saying pet egg pivot2, we'll do pet colon pivot2. And then we just want to replace the 7 with 4. The reason it's 4 and not 7 is because the pets are smaller than the eggs. And then after that, after the 4, go ahead and add a comma. And you can just say camera.cframe.position. That's a lot, so make sure your script looks exactly like this with all the spelling and everything correctly. This line right here is doing the same thing as we did with the egg. It's positioning it so that we can see it in the camera, but the extra comma and camera.position. Hey, if you're watching this far into the video, it's clear to me that you really do want to become a Roblox developer, so I want to give you a little gift to help you get started, and it's these extra pets right here that I modeled, completely for free. And the way that you're going to get those is by signing up for my email list. The link will be down in the description. What you'll do is sign up with your email address, and then it'll send you an email with a downloadable file for these pets. Make sure to check your spam folder because it goes in there sometimes. Then you can just download that file and go ahead and drag it into your game, and it'll create this new group called bonus pets. Next, all you have to do is click Control U to ungroup it, or right click and click ungroup. And here are all your pets. You can just put them into that pets folder in replicated storage, and those are going to be for you completely for free. Again, link down in the description. You can unsubscribe from the email list at any time, but I appreciate those of you who stick around. Okay, now let's finish scripting the egg system. Alright, so let's go ahead and script that animation function. We'll say function egg animation. And we have everything referenced in variables, so we don't need any parameters. Next, we can just create some tween info. So local tween info equals tweeninfo.new. Just go ahead and type what I'm typing here, and I'll explain it in a moment. 1, enum.easingstyle.bounce, enum.easingdirection.out. Then go ahead and copy this line and paste it down, and type info2 instead of info, because we're going to create a brand new tween info. Type 1.2 here, and then go ahead and set this to linear instead of bounce. This is some tween info. Basically, it's just going to tell our script how we want the tweens to happen, what kind of style we want it to look like. You can mess around with this. I just found that these are good settings for our tweens, but once we finish scripting it, feel free to mess around with it and change it if you would like. Next, go ahead and say egg vpf.position equals udem2.new 0.5, 0, negative 1.5, 0. What that does is it positions the viewport frame for the egg off the screen, because it's going to start way up here off the screen and bounce down into the screen. So then we can say egg vpf.size equals to egg size. We want to resize it to its original size. Next, we can just say egg vpf.visible equals to true. We want the egg to be visible. Next, let's just say local tween equals tween service, so ts create, and then we're going to put in the egg vpf, info, squiggly brackets, position equals to egg pose. What does this do? Well, this just creates a brand new tween. That's why we had to reference the tween service up here at the top. It's basically telling Roblox we want a new tween with the egg viewport frame. Here's the info we're passing through, and this is what we want to happen. We want to position the egg in its original position. Next, we can just say tween::play, and then we can say task.wait info.time plus 0.5, so it'll wait the length of the tween animation plus an extra 0.5 seconds. Now we're going to create a second tween. Local tween2 equals to ts::create, and this is going to be a little bit of a tricky line, so go ahead and type egg vpf, info2, and then squiggly brackets, size equals udem2.new, egg size.x.scale times 9, 0, egg size.y.scale times 9, 0. What does this do? Well, this basically just says that we want to tween the size of the egg to be 9 times its original size. That's what the times 9 is for. It's basically saying make it super huge, and that's the animation you saw at the beginning of this video. Okay, but we actually need to play this tween now, so we can say tween2 : play. Next, we'll say task.wait info2.time. So this time we're going to wait until that tween is finished, and when it is finished, we'll say pet_vpf.visible equals to true, and then we can say egg_vpf.visible equals to false. So we're going to make the pet viewport visible and the egg viewport invisible when we're finished with that animation. Now this is optional, but I'm going to add a little pet animation because it just makes it look really nice, and it's going to be pretty quick, so I'm going to breeze through this. Function pet animation, we're going to create a new function, and we'll say local info. We're going to create some more tween info. This one's going to be 0.25, meaning it's going to be a quarter of a second long. And we'll say enum.easingstyle.linear, enum.easingdirection.out. Again, settings you can tweak. The next setting is how many times it should repeat. I'm going to repeat it twice, and I'm going to say true, and this is going to reverse the animation when it's done. Next, we can just say local tween equals ts :create pet vpf, info, and then we'll just say size equals to udem2.new pet size.x.scale times 1.15, 0, pet size.y.scale times 1.15, 0. So again, make sure your lines of code look exactly like mine. This is just saying we're going to create a new tween with the pet viewport frame with this new info, and then we're going to size it up so that it's an extra 0.15 of its original size, and it's just going to go back and forth 3 times because we're repeating twice. Next, we can say tween : play. Now we want to wait until it is completed, so we can say local completed equals to false because it's not completed yet. Next, we're just going to pick up this function whenever the tween finishes, so you can say tween.completed : connect function, and just say completed equals to true. So whenever the tween finishes, it's going to set this completed variable to true. And then we can just say repeat task.wait until completed. So once it's completed, we'll say pet_vpf.visible equals to false. Okay, finally, we can say function update prompts and GUIs visible. So this is an optional step. Actually, this part is not optional because this is going to be super important. What we're going to do here is we're basically just going to set all of the current proximity prompts to be invisible. That makes sure that they don't hatch more than one egg at a time. So we can say for I, v in pairs, game.workspace.eggs, getDescendants, do. So we're going to loop through everything in the eggs folder, all the descendants, and if v, is a proximity prompt, then, so every time we run into a proximity prompt, which is what allows them to hatch the eggs, we'll just set the enabled to be whether it's visible or not. So if we disable them, we'll just pass through false, and it'll disable all the proximity prompts. The next thing is we can say for I, v in pairs, game.players.localplayer.playerGUI, getChildren, do. So we're just going to loop through all of the different UI now, and we can just say if v, is a screen GUI, and v is not equal to script.parent, then, so we just want to set all the other UI to be invisible for a minute until we are done, so we can say v.enabled equals to visible. And finally, we just want to make sure that the pets frame, which we'll do in a later video, is invisible, but let's just go ahead and set this up now, so we can say game.players.localplayer.playerGUI.petsFrame, or petsUI.petsFrame.visible equals to false. You are so close to there. We are going to go ahead and add a remote event now. So inside of our remotes folder, in the replicated storage, go ahead and insert a remote event. And we're going to call this egg animation. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pick up on that being fired. So game.replicated storage, wait for child remote, wait for child egg animation, .onClient event, connect function, and we have a few different parameters in here. We get the egg, and we get the pet. Sorry, we have 2. So what is this? This is just saying whenever we fire this client, we're going to do this, and we can fire the client whenever they hatch the egg. So basically this is just saying whatever is in here, we want to do this whenever a player hatches the egg. So let's just call these functions we made. We can say update prompts and GUIs, false, so we want to set them to be invisible. Next, we can just say game.lighting.eggblur.enabled equals to true. This is up to you. I just think it's really nice to have a blur in the lighting when they're hatching an egg. Now, something I forgot to do earlier, but we can just do here is say pet VPF clear all children. So we want to remove any old pets from there. And then we can just say load egg with the egg. Then we can say load pet with the pet. So we're calling these functions that we did earlier. Egg animation, pet animation, and then we can say game.lighting.eggblur.enabled equals to false, because now the pet animation and the egg animation are done. And we can just say update prompts and GUIs to be true. So that'll put everything back to the way it was before. Alright, that's our entire local script. The last thing we have to do is go ahead and create the function in the module script that will actually handle hatching the egg. So this is your very last function. You are so close to done. So in here, just go ahead and we're going to start by referencing a variable, and this will be our max pets. I would recommend having a max pets of 30, so they can only open 30 pets at a time. Or, sorry, so they can only have 30 pets at a time in their inventory. Alright, we can say module.hatch equals to function. So we're creating a new function for the hatching. Player, we'll put in a player. Egg, part. Okay, so this little colon thing, like we did earlier, is just telling the script what each of these variables are, or what these parameters are. So we have the player, and we have the egg. Next, we can say local price equals to egg, get attribute, price. And I'll show you how to change the price in just a moment. And then you can say local stat equals player, find first child, Leaderstats, find first child, coins. If you have something other than coins, you're going to put that there instead. Then we can just say if number of player.owned pets, get children, so the number of pets that they own, plus number of player.equipped pets, get children, so plus the number of pets equipped that they have. If that is greater than or equal to the max pets, then return end. So basically, we're just saying if they already have the max amount of pets, we don't want to let them hatch anymore. Then we can say if stat.value is greater than or equal to price, then that just means they have enough coins. So we can say stat.value minus equals price. So we're removing the price. Next, we can say local pet equals require egg wait for child pets dot pets. Now make sure this looks exactly like this. If you don't remember from earlier, we had that module script inside of the egg with the pets module, and it looked like this. Next, we can go ahead and drop a couple lines, and we will say local difference equals to pets, number of pets, square brackets 2. What is that doing? Well, that's just saying we're going to find the biggest value in this pets module. That's why it's important that you have them in the right order, because what this is looking for is it's looking for the last item, and it's getting that rarity. So it's basically saying our max number is going to be 100. Hopefully that makes sense. Next, we can just say local random equals to random.new parentheses next integer 1 comma difference. So that's going to pick a random number from 1 to the max number in your pets module script. Now we can go ahead and say local chosen pet equals to nil, local last number equals to 0. For I comma v in pairs pets do. So we have these two variables that are going to help us decide what pet is chosen. Then we loop through all the pets, and we can say if random is greater than last number, then. So basically that just means that we have still not found the right pet. So we'll just say chosen pet equals to v1 and last number equals to v2. These are setting the variables to update based on this module right here. See, we have v1, that's the name of the pet, and v2 is the rarity of the pet. You can see those here. Okay, and else if our last number is actually bigger than or equal to the random number that we chose, then we found the right pet, and we can just break. Alright, outside of this for loop, we will go ahead and fire that remote event that shows the egg animation. So we can say game.replicatedStorage.remotes.egg animation fire client player, egg, chosen pet. Alright, Finally, we're almost there. We can say local folder equals player colon find child owned pets. Then we can say if folder, then local tag equals instance.new int value, tag.name equals to chosen pet, tag.parent equals to folder. So this fires the remote event to play the animation. We pass through the player that we want to fire the event for, we pass through the egg, and we pass through the pet that they got. Next, we get the player's owned pets folder. If the folder exists, which it should, if it doesn't, then we have an error. Then we are creating this brand new tag that is named the chosen pet, and we parent it to the folder. Alright, last but not least, we just need to hook up this function. So inside of that pet server script, we're going to open that back up. And I've already included a bindable event in here. I'll explain that in just a moment, what that does. But just drop a couple lines, and you can say script.hatchEgg.event connect. And then we also need to reference the module script. So up at the top, say local eggs module equals require script.egg modules. And then we can just say egg modules.hatch. That's it. That's all you need to do. So if we go ahead and come to this egg, how did that work, you may be wondering? Well, there's this thing called a bindable event. So if we come to the egg, and you can see in this proximity prompt that I have pre-scripted for you, basically it just fires that event. So it finds the hatch egg event in here, and it says fire. So it's going to basically just trigger an event, and it's going to pass through the player that hatched the egg as well as the egg that was hatched. So that's already set up by me for you. But let's just go ahead and play test it and make sure that it all works. So make sure you have enough coins. It'll display how much the egg costs. You can click E to hatch, and we should have this nice animation. And as you can see, we got this dark gray cat. And if we go ahead and do this, you can see we have a gray cat here, and we can just keep hatching until we have 30 pets, and then it shouldn't let us anymore. Just to make sure, I'm going to go ahead and hatch enough pets. So I have 30 pets now. So if I come out over here, it won't let me hatch it because I don't have enough pets. Also, if I were to delete some of these pets, so I do have enough storage, but I come into my leader stats and set my coins to 0 and switch back to the current server, I won't be able to hatch it because I don't have enough coins. Perfect. Now how can you change the price? Well, there's an attribute in all these eggs. So in your eggs folder, you can click on the egg that you want to change, scroll all the way down in the properties, and change the price here. Same with the other egg. Now if you did get that free pet pack, let's just go ahead and set up the basic egg as well. So inside of this pets module script here, let's just go ahead and quickly add all those new pets into the basic egg. So in your basic egg, in that pets module script, I'm going to go through this quickly because we did it earlier. We're going to do a table with dog 40. So 1 to 40 is going to be the dog. Then we'll do the bear next. So 75. So 41 to 75 will be the bear. Next will be the chicken, and we'll say that that one's 90. So 76 to 90 will be the chicken. Next is the bunny, and we'll set that to 97. So 91 to 97 will be the bunny, and last but not least, the unicorn will be the most rare, and that'll be at 100. So 98 to 100 will be that. And when I say 98 to 100, that's just in that egg modules right here. Remember, we picked a random number between 1 and the highest number, and then we compared to see which pet the player got. Alright, so let's just make sure we set that up correctly, and then we should be good to go. Go ahead and open the leader stats and the coins, set yourself some coins. You can hatch the basic egg. This time it shows the basic egg instead of the cat egg, and there we go. Now we have a bear, and we can do this all day. I got a dog this time, and we're good to go. Well, perfect. This looks like it's working perfectly. So, if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in my Discord server. That's probably the best place to go ask. The link will be down in the description. Once again, if you would like to sign up for the email list, also down in the description. And yeah, I hope that you found this video helpful. If you do want to see the rest of the parts for this series where we do the pet following and the inventory, please let me know that you would like to see that, and I would be totally willing to do those tutorials as well. Hope you guys enjoyed it and that you learned something. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.